Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Cracking Packs video. I am your host, MrBevers. We're not really cracking packs this week so much as we are opening up the final installment of the Guild Kit series. This is something that I'm assuming that they will look into doing moving forward as well because of how well the product was received and all of that kind of stuff. But of course, we've got Orzhov this week, which is, of course, the reason I left it till last is because it's my favorite guild. So let's just get right into it. We've got a sweet Orzhov pin, which I'm looking super stoked about. And then, of course, we've got our deck box and our sticker and all of that good stuff. And if we look, we're going to see as well that I believe the die here is kind of like a weird blue. It's more of an Esper die than it is an Orzhov die. Because it's like a blue die with black speckles and white lettering, which is like super kind of disappointing for an Orzhov player. Like, I would rather it be a black die with white lettering. I mean, maybe that's a little more boring, but like this is more Orzhov to me than this is. And like that's an M19 die, right? Like, so I don't know what happened or why the design choice was made. Like, they did this with a bunch of the dice. They're kind of like not really on color or on brand, but a little bit off. Anyway, there's our sweet pin. Look at that bad boy. So nice. Super delectable, in my opinion. Of course, what would it be if we don't put it with all of its brethren, right? Alright, let's get this plastic out of the way. Alright, and then there's, of course, our sticker. Sweet, sweet sticker. And our deck box. Which we need to figure out what we want to do with these decks. I think I'm going to make them into the battle chests. I think I've mentioned that a couple times. I think I'm going to make these decks into their battle chest decks. So that I can play it with my friends. Of course, there's our Teysa Orzhov Scion alternate art, full art little pamphlet. And then, of course, we've got our 4 pillars of the Orzhov Syndicate: wealth, immortality, influence, and respect. And then, just some flavor text about what it is, what it means to be a part of the Orzhov Syndicate. And then, of course, you've got your deck list, where it tells you all the cards that are in it, their mana costs and stuff, and then what set they were originally printed in. So, without further ado, let's just get right into taking a look at the deck. And of course, one of the things we're talking about when we open up these is how many mythics are in each one. Because some of them are drastically different than others. I think the Rakdos one we did last week, which was like 6 mythics or something like that. It's crazy, right? And we've opened up some of the other ones this set, and it's like 1 or maybe even none. So anyway, Teysa Orzhov Scion, which is only a rare, but it is a sweet foil full art, or foil legendary creature, not full art, but alternate art is what I mean. So sweet commander cards, which are nice too. Like they've added this sort of like possibility of having like a sweet commander card added to each of these guild kits, so that you could, like, if you want to tear them apart, you can. The only thing that I'm taking out of these guild kits that I'm going to use elsewhere is the lands, because the lands are sweet. Let's put her over here so that she's not super fuzzy. So we've got an Orzhov Pontiff as our first card, and I believe this is from the original set, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, where is that? Orzhov Pontiff from Guild Pact. Yep, so there you go. With Haunt, good old Haunt. And then Teysa Karlov, which we know is from the newest set. We got the Ghost Council of Orzhova, which is, I believe, from that first set as well. So Guild Pact as well, I would assume. Let's take a quick peek here. Ghost Council of Orzhova, Guild Pact. Yep, so Guild Pact. Pontiff of Blight. This is a sweet card. This card is really, really good. And it is from, I believe, the Return to Ravnica block, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because it's got Extort. And then Skeletal Vampire, which is from, I want to say, Guild Pact as well. Let's see, Skeletal Vampire. Yeah, Guild Pact as well. Treasury Thrall, which is from Gatecrash? I want to say Gatecrash, or at least the Return to Ravnica block. Treasury Thrall. Gatecrash. Look at that. Death Pact Angel, our first mythic. There you go. First mythic. Little 5/5. Also from Guild Pact. Angel of Despair in the rare slot, not the uncommon slot, the rare slot. Smothering Tithe, which is a nice, cool card. Seeing a lot of play right now. And, of course, Ethereal Absolution, which is a sweet card as well. Holy moly. They put that in here? That's pretty sweet. And Debtor's Knell, which I believe is also from Guild Pact. And then we've got our... Ooh, these are pretty sweet spirit tokens. I don't think I've ever seen this art on these spirit tokens. Interesting. So you've got your spirit, your 1/1 spirit with flying, which is just white. And then, of course, you have your 1/1 spirit that's black and white. Interesting. And then, oh, we've got a bat. And then it's got, okay. And then it's got that, okay. And then we've got a cleric token, which returns Death Pact Angel, right? And of course, oh, we've got our, oh, they only give you one treasure token? My goodness. I mean, I understand that the treasure token is not necessarily something you need to have multiples of to represent how many you have, because you can just put a die on them. And it's a lot easier to keep track of, like, creatures flying in the air and that kind of stuff. And then, like, if you have a bat and a white spirit, and then you make 2 of these white-black ones, you need to be able to make them. But, like, you can't have your treasure and your cleric at this. This deck has a lot of tokens in it, and so 5 was probably not enough. But 5 was the standard of what they did with all of the others. So they probably just kept it to 5 to keep it the same amount of cards in the wrapping and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's unfortunate, but it has to happen, right? So we've got a Martyred Rizalka. Martyred Rizalka, I want to say, yeah. Plagued Rizalka. Orzhov Enforcer. Imperious Oligarch. Pitless Pontiff. Vizkopa Guildmage. Ministrant of Obligation. Ooh, Sin Collector. This card's great. This card's a lot of fun to play with. Vindictive Vampire. Keening Banshee. Basilica Bellhaunt. Belfry Spirit. And then that's it for our creatures and things. Orzhov Basilica, the little bounce lands, of course. Guild Gates, yeah. And then our sweet lands. Yes, this is what I'm all about. Look at those. Yes. I like. The swamps look better than the plains, in my opinion. I would kind of wish that they had done like the plains kind of like in a night scene, so it was a little bit darker in the art for the Orzhov, just because like they're kind of a little bit of a shadowy type guild. But, you know, they got to make sure that you can tell that it's plains, I guess. Orzhov Signets, right? You got a couple of those. We got some Ultimate Price, Final Payment, Orzhov Charm, Stab Wound. This enchantment's hilarious. Mortify, Pillory of the Sleepless. My goodness, my voice there. Pillory of the Sleepless, which is a sweet card as well. 1,000 Lashes, also another sweet card. And, ooh, Consecrate and Consume. This is one of my favorites from Limited right now in the Orzhov Guild. This card does a lot of work in Orzhov decks. It's crazy. Making them sacrifice their largest creature and you gaining life equal to its power is pretty crazy. Because most of the time, like, you're going to end up coming up against, like, some sort of Gruul or Simic, or who knows what, like a Gates deck where they have like a Gatebreaker Ram that's like a 7/7 or something in Limited, or a Gate Colossus for that matter, and you just kill it and gain 8 life, and it's just, you know, thank you, right? You could have swung me with it, and now I've just gained back all the health that you hit me, right? And so then you can keep chipping away with your like little 1/1 flyers and stuff, so it's very good in Limited. So there you go. Like it seems like a pretty decent deck. It's got a lot of removal and stuff like that to deal with things, and it's got some pretty sweet creatures. Again, it only has 1 mythic, so like this is one of those things where it's like the Rakdos deck had like 6 mythics in it. The question is like why, right? Like why the big swing in mythics versus not mythics, and like does that say more about the quality of the guild than it does about the the design of these decks? Probably, right? Like if you had to include 6 mythics in the Rakdos deck just to make it on par with like the Orzhov deck that only has 1 mythic in it, that says more about Orzhov's cards being more powerful at lower rarities and more about the Rakdos deck not having decent cards in the rare slots because they had to fill them with mythics to make it powerful enough to compete, right? Or maybe there was just someone on the design team that was like, I prefer Rakdos, and so they put all of the mythics in it. Who knows? Who knows? But there you go. We now have all 10 guilds in pins. I'm pretty stoked about that. We've got our sweet guild lands that I got to figure out what I want to do with. And then, of course, we hit... How many rares did we get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. So it's like about average, I think, for the rest of them as well. The tokens, of course, obviously an issue because you only get 5 tokens and the deck is very token heavy with making tokens, and then also... yeah, because like this guy makes 2 bats when he comes in, right? This makes tokens when you pay 4 mana. This makes tokens when they draw and don't pay 2, right? Like, and then of course you've got like all your smaller creatures that also make tokens, right? Because we had like this guy's got Afterlife 1. There's 2 of these that both have Afterlife 1. This guy's got Afterlife 2. Like you have a decent number of things that make tokens when they come in or die, and only 5 tokens to work with. So I think this deck would need some more tokens added to it, that's for sure. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this little like walk through the guild kits. I know maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I wanted to open them to show off the cards and take a look at them myself. Since I don't look at deck lists and things like that myself, I also wanted to get all the pins because I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I need to like find some fancy way of like showing them off on something like on the wall or something. Like maybe I'll make the guild wheel with all the guilds in the proper locations, and I'll like pin it up on the wall somewhere or something. Who knows? I'll figure it out. It'll be cool when it's done, and maybe I'll share it with you guys here on YouTube or at least on Twitter or something. Speaking of Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter, at Mr_Bevers on Twitter, or you can help support the channel via Patreon. You can get things like grab bags, booster boxes, bundles. In fact, everyone at a magic tier gets a discount code to my store, nerdvanastore.ca, where you can get all your singles. Check it out. I have lots of product available. I'm still working on getting all of the standard stuff into my inventory and all that kind of stuff counted up. Because I have to take inventory of everything, and I run a one-man shop, so it's not a small job. So I'm working on it. It'll get there. It'll get there. I promise. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and as always, may your pulls ever be better.